Hello, welcome to the Warframe Collective. Today, I want you to give me 3 Warframes that you really like, but you don't use for reasons. Now, coming in at number 3 on my list is Octavia. Apparently, I'm such an Octavia hater that I subsumed my original one and I never even took my prime one out of the foundry. Her flavor text reads, Octavia turns bass, beat, and melody into a symphony of devastation. The music of her manticore gives her high survivability and supports her allies. Her composition means the enemy's destruction. Now, my first problem with Octavia was her manticore. The whole system seemed a little bit limited when Octavia first came out, to the point where it seemed like you're just better off buying a beat or getting a beat from another player. But hey, if you don't know how to properly create music, that's on you, right? The much bigger issue with Octavia is a 10, but you have to constantly teabag to keep her abilities active. Then on top of that, when you're teabagging, you have to synchronize with the beat. I always thought that was kind of fucking lame, man. But this is a me problem because Octavia is a good Warframe used across a wide variety of players. Or at least she was, right? I feel like I don't see her as much anymore, as opposed to back in the day when there was always at least one Octavia in the mission. Overall, Octavia is a really good frame. I just don't really care for her because she's kind of gimmicky, and overall, I never actually thought she looked that nice. Next up on the list of Warframes I really like, but never use, we have Banshee. Her flavor text reads, Banshee Prime assails her foes by manipulating sonic forces to deadly effect. Banshee is basically our acoustic Warframe, and I always liked Banshee. I used to always use Banshee back in the day to affinity farm, but that's before you realize that Equinox is much better at it. But Equinox is another can of worms by his or herself, so we're not even going to get into that right now. Back in the day, Banshee had some really niche uses. Players used to mod her for max range. And what they do is, anytime they would be in a high level mission where killing the enemies really wasn't as viable as it should have been, they would bring out Banshee and use her 4th ability and lock down the entire map. And this was always most likely in a interception, or defense mission, or excavation mission. But DE never liked that playstyle with Banshee, so they changed her. They basically nerfed her 4th ability, which actually took away a lot of her practicality. But even if they didn't nerf it, her 4th ability would be irrelevant in today's landscape anyway. For all extensive purposes, Banshee really only has 2 abilities. Number 1 is sonar. Using acoustic location, Banshee's sonar power finds and tracks enemies and exposes critical weak spots to everyone on the squad. Now, this ability works, but to this day, I'm not sure how well this thing really works. Like, to be honest, you can get by just fine by not using this and shooting enemies in the face. The second ability she has in her kit that just happens to be the only thing worth using is silence. Using silence surrounds Banshee in an aura that stuns enemies and will limit their perception and tactical response to gunfire and Warframe attacks. Now, what this basically is a 3-second distraction, because you can cast this and it will stop enemies, but then they'll just shake it off and start shooting at you again. Now, Banshee also has a passive ability that says weapon noises are hushed so that enemies cannot hear them. Now, you do with that what you will, but I'm not exactly going to be using Banshee in any stealth situations. But overall, yeah, I really like Banshee, and hopefully she'll get a rework in the future to restore a lot of her practicality. Last but not least, we have everybody's favorite starter, Excalibur. Excalibur's flavor text reads, Excalibur epitomizes the warrior spirit. His master swordsmanship deals high damage. He is the embodiment of martial excellence. Now, what's your beef with Excalibur? why do you not use Excalibur that much even though you really like him? Well, my whole thing with Excalibur is the situations that I want to put him in and the mission levels on which I want to use Excalibur just makes it to where I might as well be using another Warframe that has more survivability and better abilities to suit the mission. Like, you can bring Excalibur out and absolutely do some work with him, but beyond level 120, I always feel like I might as well be using another frame that either has abilities that deal more damage or deal more damage over a wide range, or simply have more survivability. Sometimes with Excalibur, I randomly end up on my fucking ass because I got hit with a fucking projectile from somewhere. And listen, I'm sure it's a me thing, but on higher levels, my Excalibur just feels squishier than he has any right to be. But that's at higher levels. Excalibur is still really good for just star chart mobbing, right? Well, yes and no. Excalibur is really good for star chart mobbing, but there's also other Warframes that are better for star chart mobbing. Instead of Excalibur, you can bring out something like a fucking Volt Prime that not only gives you a boost of speed that helps you complete the mission faster, but he also has abilities that deal damage over a wide ranging area. Or maybe you really don't want to fight because it's a lower level mission, in which case you can take someone like Protea, to which you can just throw out her turrets and run the mission on autopilot. Or hey, maybe you bring out Titania because you're on some she was a fairy type shit. Listen, all I'm saying is Excalibur is good and I really like him and I really like the way he looks. But in almost every situation, I could think of someone better to use. Anyway, guys, that's gonna do it. That's my list of 3 Warframes I really like but almost never use. Go ahead and put your list in the comment section down below. Now, if you don't know, we've already done Warframe versus Destiny and Warframe versus the First Ascendant. We're currently working on Warframe versus DC Universe Online and Warframe versus Helldivers 2. So stay tuned for that, guys. In the meantime, the best thing you can do for me at this point is just to have a beautiful day. Peace.